Hello everyone, welcome back. So today let's deal with the grammar part, and that is about the sentence, kinds of sentences and much more. So let's start with what do you mean by a sentence? A group of words that makes a complete sense is called a sentence. For example, the grapes are sour and juicy. The red fort stands on the banks of the river Yamuna. So while framing a sentence, there are some important points to know. The first one is that the sentence always begins with a capital letter. You cannot start a sentence with a small letter. Now, as a sentence has to make a complete sense, the words in it must be placed in their proper order. For example, if you want to say, "My father presented me a beautiful watch," this is the proper sentence. But you cannot say, "Father presented me watch a beautiful," doesn't make sense. So it has to be in a proper order. And the last point that you need to know is that the sentence, it ends with a full stop, a mark of interrogation or a mark of exclamation. Sentences are classified into 4 types: declarative or assertive, interrogative, imperative and exclamatory. Let's go one by one. So the first one is declarative or assertive sentences. A sentence that makes a statement is called a declarative or assertive sentence. They deal with statements. Example: India is an independent country. We should not be lazy. Now, declarative sentences can be affirmative or negative. It can be positive or negative. For example, "Sir cancelled our class yesterday." It is a affirmative, positive sentence. Similarly, "Sir did not cancel our class yesterday." It's a negative sentence. The second type is interrogative sentences. A sentence that asks a question is called an interrogative sentence. For example, "What kind of dishes you like to eat?" Or "Do you like cricket?" An interrogative sentence ends with a mark of interrogation, a question mark. And interrogative sentences may be of 6 kinds. So let's go one by one. The first type is yes or no questions. That is, questions that can be answered in yes or no. These questions begin with auxiliary verbs like is, are, am, was, were, will, have, had, do, etc. For example, "Have you heard the news?" You can answer this question by saying yes or no. The second type is question word questions. They are also called as WH questions. The questions that begin with words like who, which, what, when, where, how much, etc. Example: "When did you buy this house?" The third type is alternative questions. In alternative questions, there is more than one question joined by or. For example, "Would you like to have tea or coffee?" Next is rhetorical questions. So in this, it is a question only in form. It actually carries the sense of a statement. For example, "Isn't it cold today?" What you meant is, "It is cold today." Next is emphatic questions. They are used to express strong feelings like anger, surprise, etc. And emphatic questions are used mostly in spoken English. For example, "Who the hell are you to know my secrets?" You are expressing anger here. And the last type is question tags. They are short interrogative clauses added like a tail to sentences asking for confirmation. For example, "You have a car, haven't you?" Or "Seema is not well, is she?" So you have affirmative as well as negative question tag. The third type of sentences is imperative. An imperative sentence expresses a command, request, advice or wish. For example, "Get out at once." It's a command. "Please lend me a pencil." Request. "Be true to your word." It's an advice. "May God bless you." It is a wish. So here, words like please and kindly are appended to an imperative sentence expressing a request. For example, "Could you please hold my bag for a minute?" In an imperative sentence, the subject is always you, which is usually unexpressed. For example, "Sit down." You don't say "you sit down." It is unexpressed. And also, affirmative or imperative sentences can be emphatic also. For example, do reach the airport on time. An imperative sentence can be affirmative or negative. Shout loudly, affirmative. Don't shout loudly, negative. And the last type is exclamatory sentences. An exclamatory sentence is used to express sudden emotion of joy, sorrow, wonder, etc. Such sentences are formed in two ways. So let's see the two methods. The first method is by using alas, hurrah, ah, etc. That is using an expression plus assertive, which gives you an exclamatory sentence. For example, shh, the child is asleep. And the second method is by using what, how, etc. For example, how hot it is today. Now before we move on to the next topic, let's do an exercise. There are 6 sentences. Try to solve it by yourself. I'll give you half a minute and then let's go through the answers. I do hope your answers are correct. Just check and let's continue with the parts of a sentence. Now every sentence has 2 parts, subject and predicate. So what is subject? A part of a sentence that names the person, place, animal or thing about whom or which something is said is called a subject. Example, the train is in motion. The train is the subject. And what is predicate? What is said about the subject is the predicate. Example, all the teachers assembled in the staff room. Assembled in the staff room is the predicate. Now how to locate the subject in a sentence? There are 3 methods. The first one, the subject is normally placed at the beginning of a sentence, so it is easy to locate, but occasionally it may be placed after the verb as well. Example, there on the banks of the river stood a tiger. Now in this sentence, the subject, a tiger, is placed towards the end. There is another method to identify the subject. You have to pick out the verb and frame questions, who plus verb or what plus verb. The words or phrases that answer these questions constitute the subject. Now for example, the cobbler mended the shoes. The verb here is mended. Who mended the shoes? Cobbler. So the subject is the cobbler. And the last method, in an imperative sentence, the subject is always you and it is mostly unexpressed. Already discussed. So for example, work hard to succeed in life. What you meant is you work hard to succeed in life. So the subject you is unexpressed. Try to solve this exercise by yourself and write the answers in the comment section. And I do hope you have understood the topic sentences. In case you have any doubts, you can comment below and do subscribe to my channel. Thank you.